Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Kisoranandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Kisoranandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajanaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Kisoranandana Vrajanaranjana Yashodanandana Prajaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Sri Sri Radha Madhava Ki Jai Nitya Leela Vishnu Mr. Pada Divine Grace the A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananda Gauri Vaishnavrinda Ki Jamuna Mai Ki Ganga Mai Ki Sri Sri Kṛṣṇa Balarama Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 27. Indra and Surabhi offer prayers. Beginning with text number 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Oh, we forgot to bring our glasses. Sorry. Anybody have some glasses I could borrow? Thanks. Hope they're not too heavy. I just need...
Pretty strong.
Pretty strong? I need some that are light.
What's that? Reading glasses?
Yeah. Spaced out this morning. Well, these are pretty good already. Now everything looks clear.
You bring the whole thing back.
Gamyatāṁ śakra bhadraṁ kriyatāṁ me nuśāsanam sthīyatāṁ svādhikāreṣu yuktair va stambha-varjitaiḥ gamyatāṁ śakra bhadram va kriyatāṁ nuśāsanam sthīyatām svādhikāreṣu yuktair va stambha-varjitaiḥ gamyatāṁ śakra bhadram va kriyatām nuśāsanam sthīyatām svādhikāreṣu yuktair va stambha-varjitaiḥ gamyatāṁ śakra bhadram va kriyatām nuśāsanam sthīyatām svādhikāreṣu yuktair va stambha-varjitaiḥ
gamyatāṁ śakra bhadram va kriyatām nuśāsanam sthīyatāṁ svādhikāreṣu yuktair va stambha-varjitaiḥ
gamyatāṁ śakra bhadram va
gamyatāṁ śakra bhadram va sthīyatāṁ svādhikāreṣu yuktair bhakti-yoga.
Ladies, gamyatāṁ, you may go. Śakra, O Indra. Bhadram, good fortune. Bha, unto you. Kriyatām, you should execute. Me, am I. Anuśāsanam, order. Sthīyatām, you may remain. Sva, in your own. Adhikāreṣu, responsibilities. Yuktair, soberly engaged. Bha, you. Stambha, false pride. Varjitaiḥ, devoid of. Huh? Indra, you may now go. Execute my order and remain in your appointed position as king of heaven. But be sober without false pride. So, translation, please repeat. Indra, you may go now. Execute my order and remain in your appointed position as king of heaven. But be sober without false pride. Purport by the servants of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Lord Kṛṣṇa here addresses Indra in the plural form, Baha, because this grave instruction was meant to be a lesson for all the demigods. So it's a very short purport, so we'll go to the next verse. I'll just read I'll read the Sanskrit. Ataha surabhi krishnam abhivandya manusvini santanair upam mantriya gopa rupinam ishvaram. Mother Surabhi, along with her progeny, the cows, then offered her obeisances to Lord Kṛṣṇa, respectfully requesting his attention. The gentle lady addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was present before her as a cowherd boy. So one thing to notice here, the A in Surabhi is a short A, it's not a long A. Somehow or other, in English, we mangle all the Sanskrit. We always say Surabhi. But there's no long A there, it's a short A, Surabhi. Just like Yasomati Nandan has one daughter, she named her daughter Surabhi. I said, now she's going to spend the rest of her life correcting everybody. And you're going to spend the good part of your life correcting everybody. And I actually met her, she came here, now she's a young girl. And I said, I told your mother you're going to spend your whole life correcting everyone. She said, yes, it's true. It's Surabhi. It's the short A, Surabhi. The purport here. Mother Surabhi, along with her the purport. The statement here that the heavenly cow Surabhi approached Lord Kṛṣṇa along with her progeny, Svantanai, is a reference to the transcendental cows who play with Kṛṣṇa in Vrindavan. Although Kṛṣṇa's cows are transcendental, the heavenly cow Surabhi affectionately saw them, as indeed Lord Kṛṣṇa himself did, as related to her. Since Lord Kṛṣṇa was appearing in the form of a cowherd boy, the whole situation was quite congenial. And Surabhi took the opportunity to offer the following prayers. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparandigam Adadanastanandantai Ridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmanim Jai Sri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyasta Kipasindhu Vaivaccha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So this chapter is called Indra and Surabhi Offer Prayers. So we just saw Indra, he offered about 10 prayers. Not about, exactly 10 prayers. And here, this is the last, Kṛṣṇa speaks just a couple of verses to him. And he's blesses him that now you always remember me and don't become puffed up. Because we heard how Indra was a little bit afraid. He had offended his boss, Lord Kṛṣṇa. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says he didn't offer these prayers out of love. He was afraid. He offered these prayers out of fear. And he offered 10, and Kṛṣṇa was very pleased with him. Yes, you go back. He told him, now return, and don't become puffed up. Do your duties, but don't become puffed up. Now we saw before in the Brahma Vimohan Leela that came a little while ago, that Lord Brahma, he offered 40 prayers. And those prayers, that chapter is a very important chapter. Actually, many times in the Goswami literature, they cite verses from this 14th chapter, from these prayers of Lord Brahma. These verses are very important verses. Just like my favorite verse is there. Tatenu kampa susumikshabana bunjana evatma krite vipakam ridbhagvapavir namayast abdiyast namaste jiveta jo mukti pade sadaya bhag. That if you just go on with your devotional service, suffering all the reactions to your past misdeeds, but hoping, waiting for Kṛṣṇa to bestow his mercy upon you, then you become the inheritor of the kingdom of God. It's one of our favorite verses from that chapter. But many verses in this chapter are very important. But even after 40 verses, Kṛṣṇa remained silent. He didn't say a word to Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma was a little worried. He took that silence as, now you can go. Here Kṛṣṇa is inviting Indra, now you can go, but just don't get puffed up. So after and Indra, he did this horrible offense. He wanted to destroy the Brishbasis and their cows in Vrindavan. But only after 10 prayers, Kṛṣṇa smiled at him and said, now you go, just don't get puffed up, do your duties. But even after 40 prayers, Lord Brahma didn't try to kill anyone. He just stole the cowboys and calves. Even after 40 prayers, Kṛṣṇa just remained silent. Because, although it seems like the Indra's offense was very serious, in front of Kṛṣṇa, it was nothing. Kṛṣṇa showed him. He just lifted the hill on his little finger. Now, if we want to do some hard work, we use our right hand. But first of all, Sanatana Goswami explains, Kṛṣṇa lifted the hill with his left hand. And then when Mother Yasoda saw him holding the hill, she looked very frightened. Then he put it on his pinky. It's no problem, It's no problem. Just like we're learning to ride our bike. Our mother's in the kitchen washing the dishes. She's looking out the window at the street, and we're driving along. Look, Ma, no hands, So Kṛṣṇa, he put it, and he said, Giriraj is just staying there by his own will. And actually, what's his name? Madhumangal, he said, no, I'm chanting my Brahminical mantras. By my Brahminical tejas, Giriraj is staying there. Don't worry, Ma, it's all right. So for Kṛṣṇa, it was nothing. And because of Indra's offense, Kṛṣṇa was all together with all the Brishbasis. For 7 days and 7 nights, they were just staring at the beautiful moon-like face of Kṛṣṇa. And they didn't feel tired, they didn't feel sleepy, just like, not like you guys, you're chanting your rounds. As I was young, I grew up in California, we had oil wells, and they go like this. So I call this oil well chanting. One time, they were training the Gurukul kids to chant, and one kid was going, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. He said, what are you doing? He said, I'm just doing what everybody else is doing. But they didn't feel tired. Then they didn't feel hungry, not like you. Wow, when this guy gonna shut up and we can go get prasad, you know? They didn't feel sleepy, they didn't feel tired, they didn't feel hungry, they didn't feel thirsty. For 7 days and 7 nights, without anything. If we invited you for Prikam, we're going for 7 days Prikam, we're not going to feed you anything, we're not going to give you anything to drink, and nobody will come. But they were all so satisfied just seeing the beautiful moon-like face of Kṛṣṇa, that nobody felt any problem. So Kṛṣṇa was together with all his devotees by Indra's offense. By Brahma's offense, he stole all the cowherd boys and calves away from Kṛṣṇa. He was away from all his friends by Brahma's offense. So Kṛṣṇa, that was more grievous offense. He remained quiet. Also, we know from Brahma comes the 4 Vedas. He's got 4 heads. From him come the 4 Vedas. So he should know better. We never hear about Brahma. Only one time we hear. One time Brahma, he ran after his daughter. Just we hear one story like that. We never hear stories about Brahma, doing anything funny. So he's much more responsible. He's the head of the whole universe. So he should know better. It's like Indra, he's always getting in trouble. He went after some sage's wife, and so that sage cursed him to have female genitals all over his body. And then somehow he prayed for mercy and they were turned into eyes. So Indra's got all these eyes all over his body. So he's always getting in some sort of trouble because of the nature. He's in heaven. He's the head of Svargaloka. So if you're in, he's always in this enjoying mood, so it's natural that he'll get bewildered sometimes. So Kṛṣṇa didn't take it so seriously as he did Brahma. Brahma was in a very super responsible position. So Kṛṣṇa just remained very quiet. But here he's just telling her, Indra, now you go. And now Surbi is going to offer prayers. I don't know if this all happened at a place called Surbikund. If you do Govardhan Prikrama, and instead of going by the outside road, you go by the inside road. There's a little temple of one of my favorite temples on Govardhan Hill, a Lota Baba. So if you take the little inside path and go along, and then on the left side of the path, there's a little gateway, and you go through that gateway, and suddenly the whole universe just disappears. It's so peaceful, so quiet, no beep beep, beep beep, It's so peaceful. Actually, whenever we go to Surbikund, have everyone just be quiet and listen to the sounds, and we just hear, maybe a peacock will cry, or a crow will caw, but it's always very peaceful and quiet. One time, we came to Surbikund. My wife and Lakshmani brought all the girls from the Vaishnava Academy for Girls, and my wife told me they all want to go on Prikrama of Govardhan, but they had already been to Mayapur, they'd been to Puri, so by the time, and Mayapur festival was late that year, so by the time they get here, it was April. So if you know April, that's when it's 40 degrees, 100 for you Fahrenheit, Wallace. I said, neither I can make it, neither they will make it. But if they really want to go, we can do it at night. And my wife said, well, they really hate to get up early in the morning, but they just love to stay up late at night. They'll be in ecstasy. So we did Prikrama at night. And just like I said, it was AC first class, nice breeze was blowing. But I noticed that it wasn't that far after Purnima, but there wasn't hardly anybody on the Prikrama path. It was quite desolate for usually. There's so many people doing Prikrama any day, especially on Purnimas and especially after Purnimas. And we got to Surbikund around midnight or so, and I told them all to be very quiet and just listen to the silence. So everybody got very quiet. Then all of a sudden, bam, brap, 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 woo, 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 bam, brap, 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 bam, bam, brap, 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 brap. There was all this noise coming from Jatipur. And I looked at Lakshmani and she said, Pakistan lost. That's why no one was on cricket. Everybody was watching the cricket. So this very beautiful place, Indra offered his prayers. Kṛṣṇa offered a couple of words of encouragement to him and sent him back. Said, be a good boy now. Don't do that again. And now Surabhi is going to offer her prayers. Here it describes, well, first of all, in the first verse it says that Kṛṣṇa used the plural, baha. I don't know what the singular is, but they're saying this is plural. So he was meaning that his instruction, his grave instruction, as Prabhupada writes here, or the servants of Prabhupada write, the grave instruction was meant for all the demigods. So Kṛṣṇa used the plural. Now you all go back to your places, do your responsibilities, and you all don't get puffed up. This Kṛṣṇa doesn't like pride in his devotees. That's why he just wanted to curb down Indra's pride. So now Surabhi is going to say a few prayers. And it's described that she saw all of Kṛṣṇa's cows, although they're transcendental. We just heard that they were from the Golok, but that in the Purport it was described that Golok was a planet within this material world where there's cows. As Golok means the place of the cows. So they were all from the, so that Surabhi that came with Indra, she was from the material Golok. But out of affection, she saw all of the other cows as her relatives. Here's the santan. Santan means descendants and relatives. They're all related to her. And Kṛṣṇa himself also saw them all as the relatives of Surabhi. So now Surabhi is going to say a few prayers, and then we'll complete this chapter. So today is also the Tithi when this is Moksha Ekadasi Tithi. This is the day when Lord Kṛṣṇa spoke Bhagavad-Gita. Somehow we're following Ekadasi tomorrow. That's because Tithis are funny things. They don't begin and end at regular times. Whatever Tithi is there at sunrise, that's a Tithi for the day. But according to Hari Bhakti Vilas, for an Ekadasi, usually the Tithi is decided by the sunrise. But for Ekadasi, the sun has to rise the Tithi has to change before Brahma Muhurt. So today the Tithi started after Brahma Muhurt, although it was Ekadasi at sunrise, which is almost 7 o'clock nowadays. Oh my goodness! I looked at my thing today. It was 6:52 was sunrise. But the Tithi hadn't become Ekadasi yet, so it wasn't. So we have to follow the next day. It's not a Mahadwaraji. Some people are saying Mahadwaraji tomorrow, but it's just a forbidden Ekadasi. So we're following tomorrow. But this is, according to the sunrise, is the Tithi when Bhagavad-Gita was spoken. This means they, very smart. They had their war in the winter time, because I can't imagine fighting a battle in 45 and 50 degree weather, 120 degree weather. Plus we see that only the warrior class were involved. They went out, where did they go? They went to Kurukshetra. It was a holy place, where there's big, wide open space. So they went, all the warriors went to Kurukshetra. And the ordinary citizens, the rest of the citizens, the Vaishyas and Sudras and Brahmins, everybody else, they stayed at home. Not like nowadays, we'd come and blast everybody. Huh? The poor Japanese, we dropped an atomic bomb right on top of the city and blasted not just everybody. And we see nowadays they just fight everybody, they kill everybody. But in many times it was sort of although war is a little bit uncivilized, it was civilized anyway. Those who wanted to fight, they went out to some big wide open field and they fought, and all the citizens were safe. Whoever won, they had to give their taxes to that person, that's all. Whether their old king won or their new king won, they simply gave taxes, but they were not involved in fighting. And we see nowadays, because I'm reading the presentation of Mahabharata by my godbrother Purn Pragya. It's not a translation, it's a presentation. We know Mahabharata is quite large, so he's condensed it. But we see in the modern days, they try to make the movies more and more gory and more shocking and everything. But nobody can come near to Mahabharata. It's talking about rivers of blood and marrow and bones and heads with helmets floating in the river and arms and legs and animals like islands in the middle of the river of blood. Mahabharata is so gory, you can't believe. So anyway, so right in the middle of this battle, this was the incredible character of Srila Prabhupada. This is right in the time of everybody was, all the young people, even myself, we were all against this Vietnam War. We were all burning our draft cards, I burned mine, and protesting, and I was in the big protest in DC. So we were all against war, and here Prabhupada's talking about, Kṛṣṇa telling Arjuna to fight. But Prabhupada wasn't worried about public opinion. He had to speak the truth, no matter what the public opinion may say. And Prabhupada spoke the truth, and we all became devotees. Because I myself, I became devotee by reading Bhagavad-Gita. And we ask anyone, how did you first come? You got a magazine, you got a book, something, somehow you read it, and then you came to the temple. So the same thing, I came to the temple, to spend the night it was Janmashtami. And they didn't even have a temple, they were just staying in a real log cabin made of logs, not out of wood, sawn wood. It was a log cabin, it was 15 miles, I'm so used to kilometers, 15 miles outside of Boulder. They were staying with some 3 hippies that let them stay in their log cabin that they had rented to be peaceful out in the mountains. And anyway, the devotees came to the park, and I went over to see what this was all about, because somebody had already told me, the Hare Krishnas are here. I said, oh my God, don't tell me they're here too. They said, yeah, they're going to start a temple. Right now they're staying with us, but tomorrow's Krishna's birthday. I said, Krishna's birthday? Because I knew the chanting of Hare Krishna, but I didn't know what Krishna was. I didn't know that it wasn't a what, it was a who. I didn't even know that much. So Bhavananda came walking into the park. He sat down and explained about the chanting. I already knew the chanting because it had become famous amongst all the young people. So he was chanting, and afterwards people asked questions, and I asked I listened to their answers, because somebody asked about astrology. He said, this is a very subtle material science. You can learn so much about this material world. It's a very subtle science, but it's still material. We're interested in spiritual science. I said, yeah, me too. That's what I'm interested in. And somebody asked about the war, and he said, yeah, you go to the demonstration and you all chant peace, 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 and you're eating hot dogs and hamburgers, which are the product of violence. When there's violence in your own life, how were you going to bring peace into the world? I thought, wow, because I was already vegetarian because all my friends became vegetarian. And I thought, wow, that's right, you know. So then this beat up old green 1947 Ford pickup truck pulled up to the park. And some girl got out in a sari. And Bhavananda put his head down. He said, I'm very fallen. But here comes my wife. She's a saint. And I looked across the park and I saw this Western girl wrapped in a sari, you know, just edge blowing in the wind. I'd never seen anything so pure. I said, wow, a saint. And Blika was really a saint. So he said, all right, we have to leave. Our car has come. And I said, no, I'm going with you. So we walked over to the car, and my other friend, Srivas, he was Sunshine at the time. People of my age will understand what that means. He later became Srivas. He came walking up with a piece of watermelon. And the boy who invited us to stay in the cabin, he said, well, first we offer everything to Kṛṣṇa before we eat it. And I said, okay, we'll do something to it, it looks good. He said, well, in the temple we have a whole process, but when we're not in the, you know, we're not in the temple, then we just Sri Vishnu it. Sri Vishnu it? Yeah, and he took the watermelon, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu. And we broke it all in pieces and began to eat, and Bhavananda came around from the other side of the pickup truck with a scowl on his face, and the boy said, it's okay, we Sri Vishnu'd it. Anyway, I'll make it a long story short. The next day was Janmashtami. They all got up early, and I wasn't going to get up early for anything. I was, you know, I was used to living in the mountains, and we used to get up, you know, the sun would come up and we just peek, oh my God, what is that? You know, roll over and go back to sleep. So they got up very early. And then they were singing, and then at the end they were saying something, I thought they were saying, join us, join us. They were saying, Jai, Jai. Anyway, after I finally got up, Bhavananda handed me a, first I told him, I said, but Bhavananda, aren't we all God? He said, oh, you are God, and how you have forgotten. And that struck me like a ton of bricks, because we used to ask the same question. We get stoned out of our minds. We go, wow, I'm God, you're God, we're all God. How these people, they're so silly, they don't know it, they don't know it. How is it they don't, how did we miss it all this time, you know? Huh? And I never understood the import of that question until he said, oh, you are God, and how you have forgotten. I said, yeah, fine God, how did I forget, you know? Then he handed me a copy of Bhagavad-Gita. And just Prabhupada's introduction to the Bhagavad-Gita. I first met Prabhupada through his books. We had this old blue little Bhagavad-Gita. They edited out about 800 pages or so. And this tiny little blue Bhagavad-Gita from Macmillan. And Prabhupada's introduction explained Bhagavad-Gita so nicely. Every question that was bounding around my brain was answered just in Prabhupada's introduction to Bhagavad-Gita. Every question I ever thought of was answered there. And Prabhupada gave a nice example. He said, just like you have a bird in a bird cage, you can make the bird cage out of silver, you can make it out of gold, you can put a nice carpet, you can put a nice chair, you can put a nice HDV TV, you can do so many things to the cage. But unless you give some nourishment, food to the bird, he'll not be happy. The same way, the soul is sitting, this bird-like soul is sitting in this cage-like material body. And we can do everything for this body. Because I was born in a rather wealthy family. My father was a doctor. So at that time, doctor had so much money, he didn't know what to do with it. I said that one time, he says, not like that now, somebody. Anyway, those days. So we had everything, but I was thinking, something's missing. I was always feeling something's missing in my life. We have facilities, but we don't have happiness. We have facilities, but we don't have happiness. And I was studying sociology in the University of Notre Dame because I thought, why spend my life, money is not a problem in our family, why spend my life chasing after money? Let me do good for people. My idea was to make other people happy. But during the studies, I was wondering, well, I've never found any real happiness. How will I give it to others? Just like if you want to give money away, then you have to have money. If you want to give money to the poor, you have to have money yourself. I said, I don't have any happiness. How will I make other people happy? I said, actually, my social work is to help unfortunate people, so-called unfortunate people, because we're all unfortunate, whether you're rich or whatever you are, you're all unfortunate, because you don't have Kṛṣṇa. So, senior moment, or COVID moment, one or the other. I was thinking that what is my social work? To help so-called unfortunate people get a better education, so they can get a better job, so they can make more money, and they can buy all the same things that didn't give me any happiness. In other words, my social work is to help people as frustrated as I am, I'll make other people that frustrated. So I was really in a tizzy, I didn't know what to do. And during my summer vacation, we were traveling around. We came to Boulder where the devotees just happened to come, and the devotees had come. So Prabhupada said, same way, this bird is sitting in this soul-like bird is sitting in this material body cage. You can do everything for this cage, but unless you give some nourishment to the soul, how will he be happy? I said, wow, this is the knowledge that I was looking. This is the knowledge that they're not giving me in school. I gave up, I never went back to school. I became student of Bhagavad-Gita and disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And found that nourishment that you give to, how to give nourishment to the soul, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given very simple process in this age of Kali. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So somehow, of course, by midnight, we had cooked a nice feast. And I was a cook, because we used to live in the mountains, and we used to cook for everybody, me and Sunshine. And then take our portion. That's how we lived. We didn't have any money, so that's how we lived. We cooked for everybody in the mountains. So, and there wasn't so many rules and regulations those days, so I was helping in the kitchen. And first thing, they wanted to make laddus and something called pakoras, something called laddus, and they needed chickpea flour. In those days, you just didn't go to the Indian store and buy basin flour. You had to take the chickpeas and make it yourself. We had this cast iron grinder, and we put it very loose, and you put the chickpeas in, and they came out like gravel. Then you tightened it up and you put them back in, then they came out like coarse sand. Then you tightened it a little more, it came out like sand. Then you tightened it a little more, and they go. And I was, studying a little bit of Bhagavad-Gita, so I understood that we have to serve Kṛṣṇa. We have to give our energy back to Kṛṣṇa. He's the energetic. From whom we got everything. We should give our energy back to him. I said, oh, Kṛṣṇa's really going to like this, whatever they're going to make with it. I'm putting all my energy into this. So finally at midnight, and then, I'd never seen ghee, this pure golden liquid. I was astonished. What is this? And they rolled out these pieces of dough, flat as a piece of paper, and they threw it in the ghee, and it went boop, blew up like a balloon. I said, wow, this is magic cooking. So then, somehow at midnight, they had this incredible feast. And all these people had said, yeah, we're going to come out and fast with you. We'll come for your feast at midnight. But we were all young people with no money, How's anybody going to go 15 miles? Not my kilometers, that's about 30 kilometers outside of Boulder. How are they going to go? So nobody came, but they cooked this huge feast. And there was 3 people who lived in the cabin. There was 5 devotees, Bhavananda, Palika, Harinama, Prabhavati, and Sachi Devi. And and me and Srivas. So it's all this food they cooked, but hardly nobody came, just me and Srivas were there. But Bhavananda said, this is spiritual food, take more, take more, take more, take more. We can't waste it. This is spiritual food, spiritual food. And I was amazed. Puris, paneer sabji, what did we call it? Gurunga potatoes, and eggplant, cauliflower, and not eggplant, but cauliflower and potato sabji with sour cream. Because those days it wasn't illegal, but anyway. And there was this funny little sweet was sitting on the edge of the plate. And Bhavananda said, you know how to eat that? And I said, nope. And he took this gulab jamun. In those days, the law was it had to soak for 3 days before you offered it to Kṛṣṇa. So they were heavy-duty gulab jamuns. And he took that gulab jamun, he threw the whole thing in his mouth. I said, well, if he can do it, I can do it. and Bhavananda had been preaching to me, because he knew exactly where I was at, that in the material world, everything gets dull. It gets less and less. Like when I was a kid, the smoking commercial was smoking more, enjoying less, smoking more, enjoying less. Come up to cool. Prabhupada said, just see, it is fire, and they're saying, cool. But in the spiritual world, everything's always increasing. Sight is always increasing. Taste is always increasing. And he'd go like that. And I would just rush with him, Touch is always increasing. Sound is always increasing. He'd go like that. So I took this gulab jamun and I put it in my mouth. I thought, wow, I'm in the spiritual world. I made it. I said, this is it, chanting, dancing, feasting, and the absolute truth is revealed to you. And you walk out that door, and the web of karma begins to trap you. So I became a devotee. And I'm still reading Bhagavad-Gita. And they still feed me this wonderful prasadam, so I'm still here. But it was Bhagavad-Gita that saved my life from, every morning when I chant my rounds, I just think, oh my God, what did Prabhupada save me from? I don't know what I would be doing now. And I see so many people suffering like anything. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing, they don't know anything. That's why we have this Prabhupada marathon, so we can distribute these books to give people real knowledge. That's what I was looking for in the school. I was looking for real knowledge, but they never gave me any real knowledge. But as soon as I read Bhagavad-Gita, I said, this is the knowledge that I was looking for. So Prabhupada said, we asked Prabhupada one time that, Prabhupada, you said that by only great fortune one came in contact with pure devotee, but our whole lives were sinful. How did we come in contact with you? Prabhupada said, I have created your fortune. Now, it is your duty to create the good fortune for others. So we have this nice Prabhupada marathon. We want to distribute this book, Bhagavad-Gita. This is the day it was Tithi that it was spoken by Lord Kṛṣṇa. And this is real knowledge that will give you real happiness and make your life successful. Hare Krishna. Anybody have any question? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the lovely class. You said that Surabhi was from the material Golok.
That's what the servants of Prabhupada have said in their purport.
So, can you please explain and give further clarification? Like we know Golok Vrindavan,
I know.
and that is descended here that we are in. So where is this material Golok? Can you please?
Well, I have no idea where it is. The scientists are still looking now. They got their big telescope out there in this outer space somewhere, peering back so-called 5 billion years. Who knows what they're seeing? This whole place is illusion. Just like you go to the park, the amusement park, and you walk in this place and you look in the mirror and you're short like this. And then you look in another mirror and you're fat like this. So God knows what they're seeing with other so-called telescopes that are flying in outer space. Who knows what they're seeing? But anyway, they've never seen a planet of cows yet. But somewhere out there, there's a planet of cows.
Correct. Now you were speaking about Bhagavad-Gita. That reading Bhagavad-Gita, you became devotee.
Yes.
So many of us, even we also reading Bhagavad-Gita, we became devotees. So today is Gita Jayanti, like we see there are many people will come, they can become devotees. Is possible?
We see many people?
They come to temple and take Bhagavad-Gita and will they become devotees? Is possible?
Well, let's pray. That's our purpose. Prabhupada said distribute books just by... That letter was written to me. Prabhupada said if they just read one word, he said even if they touch our books, their life has changed. He wrote that letter to me. I have that letter. That they even touch our books. Just like that day on Sankirtan, there was one devotee. He's still out there somewhere. He's my friend on Facebook. I met him at Rath Yatra in LA. Anubhavananda. And he was such a space case. Even Hridayananda Maharaj came and said, Anubhavananda, he cruises at 1,000,000 miles. And I tell people we got this space case here. No, we got this guy in Vrindavan, we got this guy in Chicago, we got this guy in New York. And after 2 days there, I said, Deena, there's nobody like this guy. But he was really sincere. So he went out at book distribution and he offered somebody, I just like you guys, here's a donation. He said, no, take a book. No, I don't want your book. And so he said, touch it. So he touched the book. And he walked down the street and he came back. He said, all right, give me the book. So even if Prabhupada wrote me that letter, even if they touch the book, they'll be benefited. So. And now more and more people, this world is becoming so crazy. More and more people are wondering what's life all about. We're about to destroy ourselves. We're ruining the air, we're ruining the water, we're ruining the earth, we're ruining everything. They're having so many meetings to but all these meetings are useless without Kṛṣṇa. The real solution to all the problems of the world is Bhagavad-Gita. There's no solution. This world is a miserable place. It is stamped, Kṛṣṇa says in Bhagavad-Gita, Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. It is stamped by Kṛṣṇa. Miserable place. Don't stay here. Read this Bhagavad-Gita, go back to home, back to chant Hare Krishna, and go back to home. And eat gulab jamans and go back to home, back to Godhead. And we're so lucky. Every day we're reading all the Sankirtan scrolls. We're amazed, Without going anywhere, people are coming here and taking so many of Prabhupada's books, and we don't have any idea what happens. You're wondering whether they'll become devotees, but I know so many stories. People, even they just found a book in the trash. They said, what is this colorful book in the trash? They picked up the book, they took it home, they read it, they went to the temple and became devotee. So we just get those books out there, we don't anyway, anyhow. And do it, and we can do it very pleasantly. In old days we did so many heavy-handed things, but every day we read on Facebook how this, my god brother Drumila, he's always taking pictures. They're always having books in their hands and they're smiling. You can do it very nicely. You can do it very sweetly also. So if there's no more questions, then we'll all bow down at the very soft and wonderful lotus feet of that great personality who's given us Bhagavad-Gita as it is. Srila Prabhupada ki. Oh yeah, to 10 o'clock we're going to recite Bhagavad-Gita here in the temple room. I'm always